Mike Bell von First Graphene war erst vor kurzem auf einer Roadshow bei uns in Deutschland und unseren Nachbarn in der Schweiz. Und dort haben wir einige Investoren treffen können, aber auch neue potenzielle Shareholder sprechen dürfen. Insgesamt haben Mike und ich knapp 1500 Kilometer auf deutschen und Schweizer Straßen verbracht und euch in Frankfurt, Stuttgart, München und außerdem Zürich besucht. Zudem hat First Graphene einen neuen Quarterly Report veröffentlicht, welcher auch die Zahlen vom vergangenen Geschäftsjahr beinhaltet, was kurz vorher beendet wurde. Daher habe ich mich mit Mike nochmal zusammengesetzt und sowohl über die Roadshow als auch über die Zahlen von First Graphene gesprochen. Mike, we just finished our roadshow. I think we did 1,500 kilometers and we've went to Frankfurt, Munich, Stuttgart and Zurich. How did you like the roadshow and the conversations with the investors?
Yeah, thanks. It's always interesting and enjoyable to go back to Germany. I've spent a lot of time there over the years, but always really great to get back there and see what's happening. The roadshow itself was very, very positive. It was an opportunity to meet both potential on-market investors, but also a number of existing shareholders and give them an update of what we're up to and what's been sort of progressing through over the last 6 to 12 months. So very, very positive. Great to catch up and have a chat to those people. The current investor base, all very positive and understand, having heard our pitch on the cement concrete space and just a general business update. They were all very, very positive. So very enjoyable roadshow. The way that the roadshow was organised, it was in actually quite small groups, sort of group sizes of sort of 10 plus, which makes it more of a discussion than a presentation in a typical roadshow. And I do enjoy those because they're much more interactive. People have a lot better questions. They feel more open to asking difficult questions as well as positive questions. So I did like the group size and, all over Germany. I'm quite a fan of Germany. I do like it as a country. So I enjoyed it. All of it.
Mike hat vor allem die Atmosphäre auf der Roadshow gefallen. Er ist ein Fan von kleineren Gruppen, mit welchen man eher ein Gespräch statt eben eine große Präsentation führen kann. Anschließend haben wir aber einen Blick auf die veröffentlichten Zahlen von First Graphene geworfen. Die Firma hat im vergangenen Geschäftsjahr 723.000 australische Dollar Umsatz gemacht und das ist mehr als doppelt so viel wie im Vorjahr. Dominiert hat dabei noch der Geschäftszweig von Verbundstoffen und Plastik mit 63%, aber auch die Zement- und Betonindustrie, auf welche sich First Graphene seit ein paar Monaten fokussiert hat mit knapp 20% einen nennenswerten Anteil am Umsatz machen können. Diesen will Mike und die Firma noch weiter ausbauen.
Yeah, so overall, our FY22, financial year 22, was very positive and a good step in the right direction from where we were last year. FY21 was very much based, our revenue was very much based around sort of one or two opportunities or one or two production clients. And so with that sort of dependence on those, it was always a limiting sort of factor in growing revenue. What we've done in the last 12 months is our go-to-market strategy in those cement concrete segments, composites and plastics, etc., and equipping ourselves with those industry specialists. It's enabled us to really diversify where we find our revenue. So through the year, as you say, it's just over 100% revenue growth from last year. The bulk of that came in our fourth quarter as we moved from trials into sort of more production-orientated trials. And so that drove revenue growth in that segment. And we've also, as I say, we've sort of diversified across it. So although the bulk of our revenue for the year up came from composites and plastics, we're now starting to see cement concrete growing in that last quarter. And so we go into the new financial year, we've got some $160,000 worth of purchase orders already placed on us. That's not a forecast, that's firm orders that are placed. And we'll just continue to grow and build on that revenue success from this financial year.
Eine weitere Frage, die sich aus vielen Gesprächen mit Investoren ergeben hat, ist, wie der Vertriebsprozess abläuft. Viele Investoren denken, dass Mike und sein Team auf einen potenziellen Kunden zugehen, das Pulver präsentieren und anschließend ein Vertrag über viele tausend Dollar zustande kommt. Oder halt auch nicht. Aber das ist eben nicht ganz korrekt. Gerade im Zementsektor sind die Vertriebsprozesse sehr lang. Es wird eben viel getestet und probiert von Seiten der Kunden, bevor überhaupt erstmal eine Entscheidung über eine kleinere Bestellung getroffen wird. Wie genau das aber funktioniert, Das erklärt uns Mike nochmals. I think there's something we need to talk about and to clarify. It's not that you go up to someone, approach someone, tell them this is graphene, you can buy it, and you got a contract with you and they sign it and you got money. There's a whole process of selling your products. That's a little bit different, a little bit tougher, and a little bit longer. Can you please tell us how the sales process is like and how long does it take to actually sell the product?
It's a good question, actually. I think one thing I've learned in the last sort of 12, 18 months is that the bulk of opportunities for graphene is a bespoke development. You typically don't take an off-the-shelf product, basically say this is the structure or the loading quantity and the method to get it into your product. It's a bespoke development for each one. So our early stage clients, in terms of, let's say, the swimming pools, they took 2 years from initial discussions into being a production-based product. You've got to remember, we're not only trying to prove the science of the material in these applications, but we're also trying to convince the clients that it is a just and positive effect on their products and that it won't have any long-term negative effects. So they do all take their due diligence. They do work the products that they're going to they work through trials, numerous trials. They really do flesh out the performance of the materials before they commit to moving into a production state. So, 2 years is our early stage. As we build more knowledge about applications, we get to that sort of convincing point sooner, so that the development times are reducing, but most of them are still 6 to 12 months in that development stage. Some are starting to move quicker, where clients have previously tried graphene or are familiar with it, and they look into it in terms of a specific application with us, and we can get them to that point of being convinced sooner and faster. So it is shortening, but it's still 6 to 12 months.
Zuletzt habe ich ihn noch auf die Unruhen in Sri Lanka angesprochen. Von dort aus bezieht die Firma nämlich ihr Graphit, welches zur Produktion von Graphen als Grundlage benötigt wird. So you're getting your high-grade graphite from mines and partners in Sri Lanka, and there's some, let's say, unrest in the country. And from what I know, you've got a little bit of graphite in Australia in stock. But so, do you think there's should we worry about the situation and your graphite?
Yeah, the situation in Sri Lanka is obviously, from a country standpoint, is worrying. But they do seem to be making some progress in pulling out of that. In terms of our reliance on our graphite coming from Sri Lanka, we typically have 3 supply lines, and 2 of those are from our own mines that are currently on care and maintenance, and 1 is through another commercial entity. In terms of supply out of Sri Lanka, we have continued to have consistent supply. We have an open rolling purchase order for that material. The material ships every couple of months, and we have had steady supply of that. So it hasn't been interrupted by the unrest. Our last shipment was only probably sort of 3 to 4 weeks ago, in which we received it in Australia. So that's continuing. On top of that, we have, because of the nature of how we order it out of Sri Lanka and the shipping times and our demand, etc., we have a fairly large buffer sitting in Western Australia. So we currently have about 600 tonnes of raw graphite in Western Australia that feeds our immediate demand. As most people know, our current capacity manufacturing of graphene is about 100 tonne per year, which is roughly 100 tonne of graphite that converts. So even if we were running at capacity, we have many years of supply. And at the moment, we're running well under our capacity figures, with this being an early stage material. So I don't have any immediate supply issues in terms of graphite. On the flip side, there is always other ways or other sources of graphite that we can use. It does take a higher level of processing, and it would take more time. We would have to optimize our process, but we do have options in terms of the graphite supply we use. So there isn't any immediate need for concern. We have a very, very sound supply chain and very, very sound stock levels to maintain that over the next sort of 5+ years.
And just a last question from my side. You just started your new financial year a couple of weeks ago. What do you think will be different this year?
Well, one thing I'd like to repeat or do better than the last financial year is our growth. So I would like to focus on that sort of 100+% growth or much higher. What will change is our segment split. As you'll see from our quarterly results, the bulk of our production or bulk of our revenue came from composites and plastics. I think through this financial year that'll change. There'll be a far more balanced or a shift into the cement and concrete space. We've got a couple of large potential orders on the horizon at the moment, so that'll start and move that shift of revenue across. The other thing that we have changed is that the way the revenue we recognise is not only just graphene sales. There's a lot of effort and work that goes into developing applications for specific segments. And that we're actually able to charge for. There's a lot of IP and knowledge that goes into those. So in starting to charge for that, we do have that consultation / application development revenue that comes through. We don't bundle that out as a separate revenue chain. We bundle it into our segment numbers. So across those segments, I think you'll see growth in the cement and concrete space, also in our newly formed CASE segment. So that's coatings, adhesives, sealants, and elastomers. It's an industry term. That'll start and see some more growth there with some applications that are getting close to converting into production. So exciting future.
Es gibt also vorerst keinen Grund zur Sorge für Aktionäre, dass uns das Graphit ausgehen könnte. Und das war auch schon das kleine Update von Mike zur Roadshow und den Zahlen der Firma. Wenn ihr es nicht zur Roadshow schaffen konntet, weil ihr beispielsweise zu weit weg wohnt oder es zeitlich bzw. gesundheitlich nicht schaffen konntet, dann meldet euch sehr gerne bei uns und wir versuchen euch in einem Webinar mit Mike zusammenzubringen. Dort könnt ihr nochmal Fragen loswerden, die neuesten Updates aus erster Hand erfahren. Das war's mit dem Video. Hinterlasst gerne ein Abo, wenn es euch gefallen hat und einen Daumen nach oben und dann sehen wir uns im nächsten Video wieder.